Okay, never mind. We'll deal with that later.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to start. Can you all put your phones on silent or turn them off, please? Rose.
Transfer Rose. Took all the way. I was about to say, no, it's not. And that was at the latest expense they did, if they had some of that.
All right, it's 9:01. I'll call the regular meeting of the Fort Clark Springs Association Board of Directors to order. We have a quorum of all 5 directors, so we'll start with a moment of silence and then the pledge. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Okay, the first 2 items will be to approve the board meeting, or the minutes from the board meeting from August 20th and the budget board meeting from September 13th. So we had a meeting this week. I'll just give everyone, most of you were at the August 20th meeting, but I'll give you a short rundown for the September 13th meeting. We met with Mr. Peterson on Wednesday night and went through the budget. So basically we open session and then we sit down and Mr. Peterson walks us through every line item on the budget. And we walk through how we got to those numbers, so we go back and review, okay, where do we start? And I think we went all the way back to 16, and then for each category, maybe further than that.
16, 17.
Yeah, so 16, 17, we walk through all the line items and then come up with a total and then put that all together to get to the final budget. So that was very informative, and thank you for taking the time to do that. And I think that this year went a lot smoother than it did last year, but we're getting in sort of a routine. So that's a good thing. So if everyone had the opportunity to review those minutes, were there any changes? So we'll do them separately. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes from August 20th?
I move that we approve the minutes of August 20th, 2022.
Second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. I need a motion for September 13th.
I move that we approve the minutes of the regular budget board meeting of September 13th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor? Please show your vote. All right. Secretary's report.
No, we didn't. I did not receive any correspondence.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, the treasurer's report, please.
Alright. For the last minute details, so bear with me. Our hotel revenue for August was $35,000. $1,287, which is up from last month, and also almost $10,000 from this time last year. Our total income for August is $188,955, and our total expenses was $181,682 for a net of $6,002, which is way up from last month. Last month also because we had extra payroll in there, so that makes a difference. We're also up from last year. Our total, that's not the right total. Skip that. Our total in all of our bank accounts is $701,894. That's all I got this morning.
Okay. And just to announce, all of the numbers that Lisa gives us, they're on the back table. They are in the office. So these numbers are available for you to pick up at any time. The P&L for each month is always at the front desk. So please feel free to pick it up.
And if, anybody can grab me at any time if you have any questions or want me to explain.
We'll move into the general manager's report.
We had our town hall on Thursday, and I would say 95% of the people were positive as far as the information that came. We tried to explain a little bit about what's been going on, what we've had, and some of our challenges coming up. Our motel occupancy is still good, but our DPS, as you notice, has slipped down a little bit. From what I understand, they've been transferred over to Uvalde because of school starting, and they're basically working in that area more than they are here. We've remodeling 4 rooms. 3 of the last 4 had some real major damage, so they're taking a little longer than we expected. We covered up. Can't even explain how bad it was. Golf adjustments have been made to the greens and fairways. I think we're seeing some improvement. The equipment that we have is being repaired. The aerator, we're having to special order one part because that aerator has been discontinued for probably 10 years, and they no longer make the one part we need. So the solder, we also did get started, so hopefully we can start using that to resod some area. Maintenance barn's been cleaned up by Stephen and his crew. Still got some work to do, but it's making it much more organized. The tree pile, I'm sure there's a lot of questions that's a lot of trees, and we're not going to burn them. That was one question. We'll probably have to rent a chipper and shredder because there's just too much there to try to haul off. Our mosquito abatement's been going on pretty consistently. We had to slow down because of the rain. You have to wait about a week for it to stop the new growth. They're doing a lot of it on the golf course. We've done 9 holes so far, and RV park, and then we'll be starting with the rest of the fort in the next couple of weeks. The spring is obviously up and running. Last meeting we had, it was dry, so I guess we've come a long way there. The one thing about going from a drought into with a lot of rain, and now we have a lot of grass to cut, and we're having to catch up there. Probably most of it will be cut in the next week and get caught up. Red Bridge, because of all the damage to the trees there, that's going to be a tough one to catch up with. We do have a limited amount of staff and very limited equipment, so it's going to take us a little while to get on the schedule. Other than that, that's it.
Okay. And what day was the burn?
Monday.
Okay. So thank you to the maintenance crew and to the Kenny County Volunteer Fire Department. They brought out their water trucks, and we were able to go ahead and complete the burn for the pile that we have over on the 400. So those guys spent like all Monday night out there, and so thank you very much. So when you guys see them out in public, please thank them.
It takes 3 to 4 days for those embers to just cool off, so we can't start another fire. So they have to watch that. So that's one area that taxes our staff a little bit.
Go ahead.
Mr. Peterson, how many rooms are left to complete?
After we get these 4, there are 5.
5 rooms, and we're still shooting for Christmas to get them done?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So I wanted to go back to the financial report for a moment. This is an update we haven't given in a few months, but I did want to go back to this number. So each month, our group that works through the collections gives us this report, puts all these graphs together. And so currently, I'm just going to read one of them to you. We currently have $355,000 that is not collected, but has real property attached to it. So the reason that that's important is that we have $355,000 that we are currently in the process of collecting, meaning that we have started the letters. There's a complete process that we put in at the beginning of, somewhere in March timeframe of 2020. And you have to walk through a complete process. So like, let's say that dues aren't paid on a property or whatever the case may be. Then it goes into, we send them a letter, and then there's a process that's followed that was laid out by our attorneys, and that follows the Texas statute. So right now, there's $355,000 that are in process that have real property that can come back to the association to collect those dues. So we are making efforts. If you look at the line item on the P&L, one of the things that I think you can get from this P&L mostly is to say, okay, the late fees. Our late fees year over year, this month they're right in line with each other, but on the whole, we're actually down on late fees, meaning that people are paying on time because of these efforts as we work with them. So we'll call them, get them on payment plans, or work through that process. But it is a big piece of what we're trying to do. But that is the issue. If you stop paying your dues, that is the process that will start.
Can I jump in there?
Yeah.
In attempting to collect the monies, some properties have already been foreclosed on. Mr. Peterson, how many properties are those? More or less?
We've only really foreclosed on 2 right now,
Okay, how many are pending foreclosure?
probably about 15.
So,
Okay.
yeah, and it's easier to think about it in the grand scheme of things, like on the way to that process. That's the $355,000 number.
And I'm saying that's 15 that are in the final stage.
In the final stage, we've approved
Yeah.
probably 28 or so to go into that stage of the collections process. All right, we'll go to the committee reports.
Okay. Got airport. Coordination was made, oh, wait a minute, the airport was mowed. This is from,
Stan.
let's say, is it from Stan?
Yes.
Coordination was made with management to have the overgrown area mowed by maintenance in the next week. 2 guests flew in, both member guests, and that's from Stan. Golf committee,
Hold on. Well, architectural?
sorry,
Yeah, they joined us.
Good morning.
Good morning. The architecture committee's just been working on processes. We've only had a few permits since this last month and a few violations, but we're working on updating the forms and getting the processes done. We're looking forward to new members.
Okay. Jill, thank you for coming. We'll get to some of the process pieces here in the policy piece, so more to come on that. Golf course?
all right, now we got golf. This is from Katie Brown. The end of the month scramble for August was held on August 28th, 22. It was hot and humid and there were only 8 players. The winning team was Trent Brown, Michael Muniz, Fernando Quiroz, sorry, and Debbie Isaacs. We were blessed to have the rain on the golf course. Should the need arise again, and if there is not sufficient affluent water, we will purchase water to keep our greens alive. We are actively seeking sponsors for the Kinney County Church Alliance Golf Tournament coming up in October. The Church Alliance provides for commodities in Kinney County and does other benevolent work to help our citizens in need. If anyone would care to sponsor the tournament or make a donation of any amount, please do so through the Hope Center or contact Katie Brown. To bless someone else is a blessing in itself. And that's from Katie Brown.
Preservation?
Good morning. The Preservation Committee met on 9/14/22 following our normal summer hiatus. The President brought the committee up to date on work that was completed on the Service Club and Post Theater during the summer. Areas of concern that were exposed after the bad ceiling was removed for the theater marquee were reported. Repair options to rehabilitate the marquee took up much of the committee discussion. The President will check out these repair options and will report back to the full committee on a comprehensive repair plan. At the time, the committee will hopefully come to a final decision on a repair plan. Respectfully submitted, H. Ed Bitter. Any questions?
I think I forgot, I left out that the preservation account, unless you have some outstanding, is $25,558. Is that what you?
That's the last thing I had, and that doesn't take into account what, August?
Okay,
Doesn't take into account August.
Okay.
Okay, no, that's the same thing I had, yes.
okay.
We need to get you some theme music as they're coming up. So everyone hold on, I hear that
Yeah,
this
good
report is
morning,
very long.
everybody. I usually try to not spend too much time talking up here, but today I have 3 different reports. So this is the recycle report. We sent cardboard off this week. Should be pretty good money coming back. It's $120 a ton in September, so that's a pretty good price. Prices have been dropping, so that was timely. The other thing is we really need a compactor baler within the recycle center. And a new one and shipment and installation would be about $17,000. A used one, which is what we got in the maintenance shop about 15 years ago, that was a used one. So it's still working, which is fabulous. But anyway, we have about $10,000 that a used one would cost. So I applied to Rio Grande Electric, what did they, the Sharing Success Grant. And I asked for $17,000, but I got 1. So we have $1,000 towards a baler. So we're thinking we got to start a fund or some way donations. Everybody's asking for money, of course. This is the fall, the fall problem. But so anyway, that's kind of where we're going. Is I'm talking with Keep Texas Recycling, and Rachel is very helpful in that regard. So we'll see how things fall out.
Lena,
Yeah.
did you ask the city about whether they're using theirs or not?
I'm trying to find that out. I don't know if the city has a baler that was purchased with a grant, and the grant is now over, which means we could negotiate with them.
They do. It is a part of a larger negotiation that we're working with them. I can't comment on at the time, but
Any further info? I've heard this for
They have it.
months. But
yeah, well,
nothing's-
they have it. So there's several pieces that we're working on that we have to take bids for at the fort that's holding up the process.
Oh,
So
really?
it's just a little bit longer process than we ever hoped for, and we had a rep that was moving on.
What parts are you looking at?
Excuse me.
You said you're going to wait, there's some other negotiation about parts?
No. It's a part of a larger negotiation.
Oh, okay. Well, please keep us posted, because I'm really getting excited once I got $1,000. So I'm trying real hard to figure this out. It would reduce shipping which now costs about $650 if we got a baler to make our own bales, and therefore it would take less. We now ship maybe 4 times a year. So I think we could cut that down and save the $650 that we have to pay for a truck. So, so I guess that's, and I did this under, it had to be, the criteria for Rio Grande was, had to be a 501c3 organization. So I did this under the aegis of Community Council, because that is, we have a 501c3. So if we could purchase the baler or negotiate, perhaps that would be tax-free money that we could use. So, so I think that's all recycled. So, yeah, Lisa.
So we have a baler, so would this bale something different or just?
Yeah, the baler in maintenance bales plastic, number one plastic, the water bottles pretty much,
Okay.
and cardboard.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's great. What we want to do is have, our biggest volume that we collect is mixed paper. So we're hoping to have the baler inside the building, have people walk in and dump the mixed paper right there and then. So that cuts down on some time that we spend.
Right.
Um,
And I don't
So-
think, it's not an issue of that this baler does different products, it's that you have to have it in service, like it has to be holding that paper, and so you're collecting it, you know, 1 week you get, you know, after Christmas you probably can fill it up quickly, but you can't change it out in the middle of a bale.
Gotcha.
So you gotta hold up, so they work
Right.
out the schedule to do the plastics and the cardboard together, but putting a third item on the same baler would be a logistical nightmare. So,
Yeah.
The room gets very, very full,
Yeah.
waiting
Yeah.
to get enough plastic to fill
Oh,
it.
yeah, oh my God. And so, and then of course the other part, which I just want the baler, but the other part is we have to build a lean-to, so because right now that corner has flattened cardboard boxes when we need them and a forklift. So we got to do a little maneuvering, but that's secondary to trying to get a baler. And of course, if we do that, it would be less problems for maintenance, because right now we put the water bottles into black plastic bags that are huge, and then the person in maintenance has to come and grab it and truck it over there to the maintenance shop. So it's kind of been, you know, inefficient, let's say. So, okay, the next one is the Community Council report, or is it Les Morris? I'm not sure.
You can do Los Morris first, and
Okay.
so.
Chris Hale, our chair, wrote this, and asked me to give the report for the swimming pool. Okay, so most of the important repairs to the pool have been accomplished, but there's still some sidewalk repair needed. We've made application for some grant money to pay for that, and to pay for the engineering work to improve disability access. The latter need is somewhat complicated to do it right. It has to be from the safety standpoint, and to make sure any redesign is Texas Historical Commission acceptable. There'll need to be coordination with the board about transitioning to more of a focus around maintenance at the important issue for the pool. So that's all. Okay. I probably need a chair. Now I have community council to tell you about. Let's see. Okay, we have 3 topics. One is the adult center, the other one is ghostly tours, and the third would be Fort Clark Days. So the first one, Adult Center, we allocated $2,000 to repair the upstairs bathrooms, ladies' bathroom. Apparently there's a leak in that second floor area. It will be done with Philip's help if it's not within the walls, so there's no water involved there. If it's not, then we have alternate projects that perhaps the Post Theater dressing rooms need to be done better. So we'll use the 2,000 in some way, shape, or form for the benefit of us, the members in the fort. So that's one. Ghostly tours, we'll be looking for volunteers again. We're doing, how do you say that? We're gonna organize it with the help of Recreation Department. Sherry Newman is willing to do, so we have to meet with her and sit down and try to figure how we're gonna do ghostly tours this year. I noted a date on the agenda, so Friday nights, one of the dates is a Friday night, which of course they have high school football that everybody seems to enjoy. So I don't know, that might be changed or what, but we do have to meet with Sherry. So that, it's tough to find volunteers because we're all doing a lot, so we hope we could get that straightened out. We couldn't find a person in the community council group to chair that, so that's why we've gone and asked Sherry to help us. So that's ghostly tours. The last one is Fort Clark Days, and I'm happy to report we finally have a chairperson, co-chairpersons, I should say, Frances Bitter and Christine Bitter, so that's fabulous. We do have all of the chairpersons of various committees are intact, so that's great from last year, so they have experience with how that runs. Let's see, what else? Okay, we sent off letters, at least 55, to various businesses in this community, Uvalde as well as Del Rio. And so far, we've got $1,000, which is super, good start. 500 came from Rio Grande with electric, which is great. And 250 from Chicago Title in Uvalde, and 250 from Virginia Sosa in Uvalde also. So that was great. It's a good start. Let's see, what other things? Okay, 4 o'clock days. I guess that's all. Do we have anything else? I don't think so.
Ms. Elena, I know that Fort Clark Days takes some money to get it going early on. I know last year they raised about $12,000 more or less.
Yeah.
Where are we today with monies for Fort Clark Days?
Yeah, we allocate out of that profit that was made last year. We allocated $4,000 for this year's Fort Clark Days. That's startup money, and of course now we got $5,000.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah. And we hope with the 55 letters going out early, we were thinking, well, people start their budget process just like you, so we figured now was a timely, we sent them out in June, I think, so we're getting a little in. So I think that's all, maybe?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Recreation?
Recreation, upcoming events, October 1st, grand opening of the fitness center, 5K run, blood drive, and food vendors. October 22nd, Halloween golf cart parade. October 28th and 29th, Ghostly Tours. October 31st, trick or treat from 5 to 9 p.m. And November 11 and 12 would be Fall Festival, and then more to come.
Thank you. All right, we'll move into the old or unfinished business. The lease for the wastewater treatment plant, which we started in March of 2020. We are still working through that. I had a 2-hour meeting this week with the attorneys, which I'll update the board on, in executive session, and then we'll have some more announcements on that. The approval for the Unit 1 parking fees, so that process was to look at adding additional parking. That's still an ongoing process. The golf tournament fees, we're still waiting on information from the golf committee to determine how we're going to do that. Panic buttons.
Still, I got one more bid, but still trying to check something.
Okay. Number 5, consider approval to revoke resolution 2019-7. That one will just stay there as it is and just fall off. There will be no action to take on that. The GM approval limits, that's also something that we need further consideration on, but we'll be going to the outside counsel for that determination as to what we can actually even consider. So discussion items, policy resolutions. I'm going to walk through the process here of what we're going to do. So we've got 7 policy resolutions that we'd like to put in place. 3 of them have to do with architectural, and then the rest have to do with budget and how we work through that process and how money is allocated after we do that. So the way that we'll do this, all the directors have the policy resolutions as written. They'll have time to take a look at those. We'll walk through each one and I'll give a brief overview of what they are. We will then send out the language in separate dispatches to the membership. We'll give you a week to give us back the any feedback on those, and then they will be on the next agenda for approval. There'll be action items on the next agenda so that we can get some feedback on the governance that's put in place. So I'll walk through each one. So architectural committee building permit process. You heard the committee mention that they've been working through those processes. Now they've turned over their notes to us, and we put them into a resolution. So it's pretty clear as to what that is. The committee applicant process, that's also something that was mentioned by the architectural committee in their report. This is a process to add people to the committee. The fine schedule. So any fines that are put together, those have to be approved at a board level first. So that's not the actual fine itself, but the fine schedule as to how it goes through and what the process is to do that. So we've actually formalized that process as well. So capital expenditure list with budget. So in the past, you've always had an operational budget that is put together in September. That we're doing today as well. That'll be agenda item number 4, which is not currently on here. But you have an operational budget that we approved in September. What we're doing here is adding a capital budget as well, and that will include the items that we're going to spend. So, and they're kind of out of order here because number 7 actually has to come before that. So a capital expense threshold. So we have to first determine if we spend X amount of dollars, then that becomes a capital expense, which means we will depreciate that over a schedule. So that's anything like air conditioners, garbage trucks. I'm trying to think of things that we've done this year. Dump truck.
Remodeling hotel rooms.
The remodeling the hotel rooms, the washers and dryers that we bought for the hotel. Fitness equipment. These are all capital items. So that explains 4 and 7. And let me go back to 4 real quick. So the capital expenditures list, that'll actually be a capital budget. Will be the change for that. But this is where we're going to lay out what are the big projects we're going to do for that year, and how does that money come out, and where does it come from. So that it starts in the operational budget. So it starts at the revenue line under your administration. So when we collect your fees, everyone is aware, because you hear in the meeting each month, and Lisa brought it up here, where she went back and gave the total for the historical. So how does that start? You start with the fees that you pay. We take 10%, 75% of that goes into the capital budget, 25% of that goes to historical for their use and preservation. So that's how we fund the capital budget, is through your dues. And then the second way that we fund it is through your commercial areas. So your hunt program, your hotel, your RV park, a percentage of your net income for each of those areas will go back into that capital budget. And that's another piece that we're going to determine here, is how much will go into the budget from the net income to then continue to repair and add to, so they can continue to produce income, and hopefully keep us to where we're operating in a situation where we don't have to continue to increase the fees or assessments that are paid by the membership. So all of these items are to put us in a position where we have a more formal process around the things that we do on a regular basis, and kind of keep us on track. That's one of the things that, you know, we've kind of not had in the past, and we've had to kind of run behind and figure out, okay, are we going to do this, are we going to do that? And so now we're trying to formalize that process, and so that everyone is aware of what we have to spend. I think in this capital budget, or in this budget year, there will be approximately $135,000 in the capital piece of it. This year, we've spent year to date approximately $120,000 of capital expenses. So that's good that we're increasing that, because we've got a lot of work to do. So are there any questions from the directors on these items? You have all the language in there.
On all of them?
I mean, so we've got plenty of time for the process, so this is just to get them in front of everyone, give them to all of us, get them out in front of the membership. But if you do have questions at a high level, I wouldn't say that we need to go through them like specifically today. We've got a long time for that review process.
Okay, I do have a couple.
Okay,
sorry.
go ahead.
I do have a couple of things. And we don't have to go into the details, but with the architectural fines, I don't know if we need wording in there for, well, we need a discussion on the time and what the 209 says about giving them ample time. If they remedy it, then they're not fined.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. And so if you'll make your notes on those and then send them to Chris, she'll collect all the notes. And then we'll have an appropriate place for you to send your comments for the membership as well. When we send it out on dispatch, we'll give you the information to do that, but you can send yours to Chris.
Okay. And the other one is on for the capital from the revenue centers.
Mhm.
I think we need to look at, I'm absolutely on board with the capital budget, but I do not think that money should go into the restricted fund. Maybe if we do a line item, you know, every month, for a couple of reasons. One is that the restricted fund's in the declaration, and it's made specifically, you know, it was done specifically from the assessments and is used specifically. Whereas if we put in net, for the one problem can be is if we have a really bad month, or, you know, the spring dries up, and we have put that money into the capital expenditures, we can't pull it back out if we're in a spot. Whereas if it's a line item, we can move it around. Does that make sense?
I hear your concern, yes. I need to go read the document that you're talking about, yeah.
Okay.
And that's what we're having this conversation for, so can.
Yeah, that's just, you know, how we end up doing it. I think it's a great idea that we do budget this, just how we do it.
That's fair. Any other?
The only question I have is the capital, the capital budget, would that be equate to the reserves? That's what I thought. Okay, I just want to make sure, because
Yeah, so that is a budget that's saying, okay, this is how you're going to spend that restricted fund dollars, yes.
Regarding the capital fund, it's taken me a little while to totally comprehend it, but that money is not in the bank today. It's anticipated money that we will have within the year, number one. So we don't have it now. It's anticipated. Number two, when we were elected to the board early on, we quickly approved the completion of the barracks inn, or the remodeling of it. I was not clear at the time, and I admitted that I had thought that money was already set aside, but what we've been doing is paying it as we go, just so that you all understand how the money is flowing. That's why I'm mentioning it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments from the crowd at this point? Okay. Go ahead, please.
Jim Race, you're conflating the restricted fund and the capital budget fund, and the auditors are gonna make you reverse that entry you're making back to what is stipulated. There had to be an approval from the board last year as to what the fees were gonna be. And I know the girls at the front desk can tell you what the historical number is and what the restricted fee is. And those dollars are gonna have to match. So if you're gonna have to come up with additional money for the budget, as Lisa said, you probably need to put it in another place.
Okay. And we'll work with the finance task force as well to figure out exactly the proper place for it. Okay, all right. So agenda items, consider approval for the employee health insurance, and we have a presenter as well.
Good morning. Troy Persine with Persine Solutions. I sent some information in advance. The board should have it. Julie was sent that to Julie but I have an overview of it here. As you may be aware, we have Blue Cross as our current health insurance provider. With a recent renewal, it's going to occur on the 11th, or sorry, November 1st. Rates will increase. The rate increase of the plans is an average of about 14%. As we usually do each year, we look to the marketplace to see if there's a better fit, better value for the board. I looked out there and I did find, fortunately, a better solution, I believe. Sana Benefits has what I think is a really valuable and affordable plan, or multiple plans available. I put a list of 3 plans of their portfolio plans. I selected 3 that were close to the current plans that are available that we have picked from Blue Cross. Those rates all came in at or below what the Blue Cross rate was prior to renewal. So either at par or slightly below the rates we currently have in place. And I believe, in my opinion, a much richer benefit. With the current Blue Cross plans, now we have 2 HMO plans and a PPO. 2 of the HMOs are high deductible plans in which the employee is paying all out of pocket until they reach their max out of pocket, meet their deductible and max out of pocket. One of those HMOs has copay plans where they're going for prescriptions and doctor visits and getting a copay. With Sana Benefits, we have one of the plans is the high deductible plan. 2 of them, however, are copay plans. And again, they're coming in at or below prices that we currently had at Blue Cross, and certainly far below the renewal rate that Blue Cross is giving us. Another added benefit from Sana is they have several $0 copay benefits, like virtual primary care, virtual mental health, virtual just well care. If someone wants assistance in managing weight, stress, anxiety, again, a phone call, they can get consultations and get assistance with that. Imaging, which if you have employees with kind of, whether it's once a year or a chronic condition that has to have frequent imaging, with Blue Cross, that was a deductible item, and co-insurance if they'd already met their deductible. Now, if they go to within the network of green imaging, they can get those $0 imaging, whether it's a CT scan or X-ray or anything in between. Okay, so again, huge savings for that employee. Lab work also used to be a copay item or a deductible item on a copay. A deductible item with Blue Cross. With Sana, they offer it if you're going, as long as it's done through LabCorp, then it's a $0 cost to them. Whether it's done at a doctor's office and they send it to LabCorp, or they go directly to a LabCorp facility. So again, big savings to the employee. Other $0 benefits or cost benefits, if I'm missing the major ones.
The deductibles are a little lower too.
Yes, the deductibles are a little lower. So the main items that they take advantage of though are a lot of the $0 benefits. So the imaging, the lab work, the virtual care, if they're wanting to get just help on just like a primary care visit, they can do it virtually. Again, managing stress, anxiety, those kind of things, mental health, all those can be accessed at a $0 copay. As long as they're in one of the copay plans that Sana offers, and I have 2 of them listed here. One of them, the H plan, is a high deductible plan, the $4,000 deductible, which is also the max out of pocket. If someone were to select that plan, they don't get those $0 copay benefits. It's going to be out of the deductible. Okay. Given though the premiums that you might see here of being $455 for that plan versus $404 or $450 for the plans that offer copays, I believe that there's not much incentive for any employee to pick the all deductible plan versus going with a plan that offers them all those $0 copay benefits plus a regular copay they might be expected to pay for a in-person doctor's visit or something along those lines. The other added benefit of Sana is that for urgent care, vastly more inexpensive to go to urgent care, $25 if they need that.
I had just a quick question on the one, the age 40 you said. Once they've paid their deductible?
Then it's 100% paid by the insurance company.
Everything is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but those first $4,000 are out of their pocket.
Right, but I just wanted to clarify
Yes,
that I was looking
absolutely.
at that right.
Yes. With Sana, another added benefit is it's any doctor they can go to. There's not a set network. There is a network that's named Health Smart Ancillary Only Network, but should their doctor not be in that network, they can still go to them. Okay, there's a mechanism that they have to go through to use that to facilitate that, but it's not a barrier for access if their doctor isn't listed on the network. They can either nominate that doctor to be invited to the network. That's one mechanism. If that doctor should still refuse to participate in the network, not a problem. They can get what they call a Sonicare card from Sana. It's like a debit card that's given to them and allows them to go to that doctor or any doctor really and use that card for accessing services. So again, it prevents them from having out of pocket. Barring, let's say they don't have anticipated time to access that card and notify Sana, hey, I need to go to this doctor in 2 weeks or whatever, so they can get that debit card in advance of that first visit. If they have to pay out of pocket at the point of service, they just request a super bill from the physician, submit the super bill to Sana, and they get reimbursed for anything would have been beyond their doctor's office copay that they should have experienced. And a super bill is just a detailed bill of everything that was done during that visit.
So there's not a difference in pay so there's not really an out of network?
No, there's
Different
not.
charge,
There's
okay.
not. So they never find themselves in a situation without a network. As long as, there's different ways to address it depending on how much time or lead time there is, but they're never going to find themselves that they're out of pocket more than they would have been if, the in-network, out-of-network situation.
Do you have any other questions from the directors?
So any doctor's office could take Sona
Yes, as
if
long
they choose.
If they choose. So the doctor's office can either be a part of the network, which they would then process it like any other network that they may accept, or they can just agree to bill. It's just, as long as that doctor's office agrees to bill Sana, that's all that's required. They electronically submit that stuff, and they get paid their portion of what they, as if a network physician, as if a network physician had done it. If they don't agree to direct pay or direct bill, then the employee can request that, like a debit card, a Sonicare card, to use to pay for that visit. So again, these are all things that should we decide to switch to Sana, we coach the employees through, here's the process, and of course, anytime during the year or after it's adopted, they can always, I'm always a resource, and so I'm always there to guide them through whatever's going on, if they're having a hiccup.
I think we had a question from.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. When you talk about your HMO network, and we're talking about our employees here, is Uvalde Hospital in it, and is Valverde Hospital in that network?
With the Blue Cross, yes, those are.
No, with the Sun.
Well, Sana, then we don't have to worry about network. We don't have to worry about HMO, PPO if it's Sana. Sana is working under a non-network situation.
So,
So
I've just never heard of them before.
Well,
so-
Sana has been around about 7 or 8 years. They're based out of Austin, and they've been slowly growing their presence across the state.
So they're building.
They're building, but what they do have is very solid. Not every single service they offer, every service I've mentioned is available here. Not all the services they offer are available out here. Like
Right, well, what about LabCorp? Where is LabCorp?
LabCorp has
is
situations
located?
in almost every, probably not in Brackettville proper, but if you go to a position here in Brackettville,
So they're.
they're gonna send that stuff out to LabCorp, or Quest. Quest and LabCorp are the two big names in that, so
Right.
if someone were to go to a local
I knew
doctor
Quest was.
or
in-
Del Rio or Uvalde, they just would say that if it's not a LabCorp facility, they would just request that doctor send those samples to LabCorp.
So, okay, so if somebody needed to get labs without going to the doctor's office, that's why I was asking. I know there's Quest, but you're saying that Quest also gets together with
Well,
LabCorp?
they're two separate companies, and
Yes, I
so
know.
competitors. And so the $0
LabCorp in Uvalde,
Yes.
I think there's LabCorp in Uvalde.
there's going to be, I would be surprised if Del Rio and
Yeah,
Uvalde didn't have a
I mean, that's
actual
my question.
LabCorp
Okay, right.
location.
Yep, so 3040 East Main Street, Uvalde.
Sir, could you spell Sana for me, please?
SANA?
Your concern was at one point they're at 75% covered and 60, can you explain
Yeah.
that?
Well, the prices that we have are based on 60%, right?
Well, the
pricing
employee
listed
premium
there.
I show here per pay period is based upon, I just made it showing it, if the Fort paid 60% of the premium, this would be the employee responsibility every pay period.
Right, but normally the Fort pays 70 or 75%.
Then it would be,
is what we
there would be a lower figure than what's reflected here, as far as the employee cost. But the premiums though, on a monthly basis, are the entire premium. There's no changes on that. That's like the entire responsibility, not counting who's responsible for what portion of it.
So the employee would owe more?
Less.
Less.
I just want to make sure.
We pay 70.
Okay, because that has been an issue
That has
with
been an
with
issue.
them not signing up because they can't afford it. So
Yes, yeah, participation
not have that be a problem.
does change dramatically with how much the cost share is between the Fort and the employee.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Excuse me. So are there, if we change and the employees now have this new setup, are there plans, or not plans, are there already presentations or information that will be provided to the employee as a group to give them a heads up, or is it something they have to come individually to you to ask questions on?
We can have an enrollment meeting. You know, we have an enrollment meeting, is what we do. I mean, each year, I think even if there's been no changes, we have open enrollment. There's definitely open enrollment, and so someone can decide at that point if they're already, let's say the plan wasn't changing, they would be changing, they'd have the ability to join the plan or change plans at open enrollment. Here, if we adopt SANA, we'd be changing carriers altogether. They'd have a choice of plans they can pick from. They come in, typically occupy the boardroom for a day, and the employees come in some point during their shift during the day or during their lunch hour, and I present it to them, present the options to them, answer any questions they may have, and then have them elect their sign up.
So there is already a support system in place?
Yes, there is.
I guess I could have asked that question with that answer, so thank you.
Yes, there's a support system upon enrollment, and then when someone's enrolled ongoing, they have either myself or they can contact the carrier directly, depending on which of their preference, for any questions they may have.
Thank you.
What is our current employee percentage?
I think it's 30%, isn't it?
That are doing it, yeah.
Isn't the board paying 70%?
No. I mean, the participation percentage,
Right now, we have 15 participants,
15
So
participants,
it's basically
Yes.
20%.
so 20%. Okay, all right, thank you.
and
You have
half,
to realize most of our employees qualify for Medicaid.
Okay. Any other questions? No? No one else out there?
There is a LabCorp in Del Rio also.
Okay, great, thank you. No, that's good,
The
that's
place
good.
that sends to LabCorp.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, these are all important things to know. And I appreciate the membership being involved in helping ask questions, as that just adds more experience to what we do. So thank you. Do we have a motion to approve?
Sharon has a question.
Oh.
I just, may I ask again what you said the deductible was on the
Well,
plan?
the deductible, we have, with Sana, I'm showing 3 different options. A $4,000 deductible, which is a plan that has, it's all deductible for the $4,000. So dollar for dollar, the first $4,000, if they pick that one, we paid by the employee, and then 100% paid by the insurance company thereafter.
Got it.
We have 2 other choices that have co-pays, so it's another option that has a $4,000 deductible, but it has then co-insurance that kicks in thereafter up to $7,550. Okay, if they're not, depending on what their utilization is during the year, they might just have some doctor's office co-pays or prescription co-pays.
Right.
The other plan has $6,500 of a deductible with a maximum out of pocket of $8,500. Okay, so the premium ranges, not counting who's sharing costs, range from $404 a month up to $455 a month. Okay, now that's not the employee cost, that's just the whole premium billed by the insurance company without any regard to how much the employee's paying and how much the Ford's covering.
Okay, thank you.
So we're gonna vote on to provide the employees the 3 options.
To switch to the Sana
To
benefits.
Sana, okay.
Well, if that's the motion.
Yes, okay.
Well, what about percentage?
So that's something that's been set and will remain, like, that's already a budgeted item, correct?
And that's what I was, and that's my
That
next
has nothing
question.
to do with whether or not we use Sana. That's a budget item for us.
Okay.
And the Ford right now is paying 70%,
I believe so, yeah.
and the,
It has been for 3 years,
Okay.
4 years.
just clarify.
And we have how many people on it?
15.
There's 15
This
currently.
out of how
This
many?
looks like
Out of
it
how
would
many?
lower.
We have
It
30.
should lower.
If we go at
Yeah,
70.
well, because you're also going to have a 14% increase.
Yeah, instead of undergoing a 14% increase with Blue Cross on the 1st of November, we'll be at that number, we'll be at par at worst or below our total cost when it comes to employee and for costs.
Which would raise our budget around $8,000 a month.
And you have, some of the employees, or I guess 3 of the employees, 4 of the employees had the higher dollar cost plan, the PPO, but it was high deductible. So the 4 employees were paying $600. The total cost was $611, okay? And so those same individuals now have an opportunity to not only have a plan that was just as good as the PPO, but it's better, because now they can spend less, they can spend $400 and change, or the 4 can spend $400 and change for a benefit that isn't all high deductible, that allows the employee to have some $0 benefits, quite a few of them, and some copay benefits, which they weren't able to have before with their PPO plan that was all high deductible. There was also another 3 employees that were on an HMO version of the same thing, high deductible, all out-of-pocket costs until that expense was met. So, basically, instead of just 8 of the employees having that copay plan that they could afford, now you'll have, if it's the same participation, all 15 would be able to have a price at or below what they're paying currently and have much more benefits.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we switch to the Sana plan.
Do we have a second? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Are you ready to follow that?
I'm ready.
All right.